I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to see everyone here together. It is, haven't done this since 2019. We've done it virtually, which has been wonderful too, but this is amazing. And thank you so much for coming out today to the annual Avodah Partners in Justice Brunch. My name is Gail Shalou, and because of my passion for the work, I've been privileged to serve as chair of the Advisory Council here in New Orleans. I'm very proud to co-chair this event with my wonderful colleague, Jackie Stern. It's so great to be back. We're so grateful to all our event sponsors, and please make sure you take the time to read through the program on your tables and to thank them if you see them. We also want to thank the staff of Toro Synagogue for all their help and support in helping us bring this event to fruition. We've been a bit rusty, having not done this since 2019, and your can-do spirit was really helpful. I see a lot of previous partners in justice honorees in the audience, and we're so pleased to have you. I know some of you were just honored virtually, did not have the benefit of a brunch like this, but would all the previous partner in justice honorees please stand up so we can acknowledge you. I also want to honor some special guests here who are joining us here. We have from Miami, Madam Mayor Daniela Leventhal. Councilwoman Leslie Harris. Congressman Troy Carter. And Sheriff Susan Hudson. Rousing applause. Today we celebrate the passion and commitment of our three partners in justice, Arnie Fielkow, Simone Levine, and Dr. MarkAlain Déry. They continue to fight the good fight despite all the many demands of their busy lives. Of course, we are also celebrating Avodah, which is helping New Orleans become a more just and equitable community.
Our three honorees represent the values and the mission of Avodah. They were chosen because they mirror our values to develop lifelong social justice leaders whose work is informed by Jewish values and who inspire the Jewish community to work toward a more just and equitable world. You know, it's very mind-boggling to me to realize that Avodah has been in New Orleans for 14 years, and I believe I have been involved with this organization for 12 at least of those years. And I think I have very good judgment because when I first got introduced to Avodah, I immediately embraced the whole organization and the people involved. And I look back, and 12 years ago, some of my daughters were in lower school and middle school when Avodah Corps members would come to have dinner at our house for Shabbos, or go blueberry picking with my family, or just come and stay so they could have a home to be in for a little while. So, and I am proud to say that I have a daughter who is now working at Avodah. She had no connection through me because she was at college 12 years ago, but she is now a grant writer for Avodah. And I have another daughter who was a Corps member in Chicago, and 3 extended family members who have been Corps members throughout the country, and 3 people that are good friends of the family. So I feel like we have done our duty there. So our members here in New Orleans have served over 44,000 families and residents of the city, and they have worked in 60 different nonprofits. Over half have stayed in New Orleans beyond their service year. And in fact, I learned today from Debbie Behrens that Jewish Endowment Foundation has hired Miriam Teller straight out of Avodah from New Orleans. So they have been woven, obviously, into the fabric of the local Jewish community and into the social justice community of our city. For all of those who are here as current Corps members or past Corps members, would you please stand up so we can see you? And thank you for all that you do for our community. Now it personally gives me great pleasure to introduce Rabbi Katie Bowman to share with us the invocation. Katie is with Torah Synagogue and has been running around helping us with everything she can since she got here, so thank you.
Good morning. On behalf of our entire team here at Torah Synagogue, we are really delighted to be hosting this lovely event. And we're so proud to have been the physical home for NOLA's Avodah office for several years. It's been a real badge of honor to have you on our building. I'm sure that many of our hearts are with the community of Buffalo today as the people of that community mourn staggering loss of life and the horror of yet another racially motivated act of violence. We are reminded as we take in this news and other news, when situations such as this, when guns and racism and extremism collide, how complex and enormous the problems that we face are, how hard it is, how hard it will always be to maintain stamina as we address them from person to person and generation to generation. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to bless our gathering this morning as we affirm here today that the pursuit of justice demands partnerships. We need each other. We need to take energy in learning from each other and to celebrate those among us who embody and model that each day. And we remind each other today and many other times that we are not alone when we are committed to remaining hopeful and prayerful. Today's gathering, just as I imagined, though I've not spent much time there, but I imagine the Avodah buying itself is a reminder that loving community is essential for sustained justice work in Judaism and beyond. Joyful, authentic relationships are the connective tissue between the heart-wrenching confrontation with inequity and pain and social neglect that Avodah is committed to confronting, and the individuals who live out and maintain proximity to that commitment. We need each other, and we need to uplift the joy and connection that we share to persevere in the pursuit of justice as the Torah commands. So in light of that, for a blessing this morning, I'd like to share with you a nigun, a wordless Jewish prayer that comes from Ukraine, where I know one of our honorees is this day. It was first recorded in the early 1900s in Kyiv and is called today, after many generations of re-recording, the King Street Nigun. It is beautiful, it is simple and happy and sentimental, and there can be no doubt as we think about those who composed it in the early 1900s in Ukraine, that those who originally sang this song and who gave it voice knew violence, knew poverty, knew oppression and persecution because of where they were and who they were. And so this gentle sound feels to me like rebellion and an insistence that hope and optimism will not be silenced, and the vision we have of a more just world will never vanish. So I pray, before I share this tune, may today's presentation and the spirit and the intention with which it was put together and planned remind us always to keep faith with goodness, with hope, with compassion, so that we never lose our fire for the important work of Tikkun Olam, to which we are all called and by which we are all compelled. So I invite you during this wordless prayer to sing along if you wish, if you feel comfortable, but even if not, to find the words that you need to pray today as you look around this amazing room full of leaders and committed individuals and say a prayer for that. And this is the King Street Nigun from Ukraine. Yalai, lalai, la, 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 la. Yalai, la, 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 la. Yalai, la, la, ya, la, 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 la. Yalai, la, 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 la. Yalai, la, 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 la.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi Bowman, for the blessing, the beautiful words, for setting the framework, and for having us all join together in song. You met, at least at your tables, and we all thank the Avodah core members, but we also have representatives here of the field placements where they do their work every day, and the staff of the nonprofit social justice field placements throughout the city. They fight the fight every day, and I'm sure many nights as well. So all the representatives of the field placements, please rise so we can thank you. Thank you. We really have an amazing trio of honorees today who are active in a wide range of social justice issues. Our first honoree is truly embodying justice in action. He traveled to Ukraine just last week to answer the humanitarian call for emergency physicians there. Dr. MarkAlain Déry should be joining us now from Ukraine over Zoom. To present Dr. Déry with his award, we will be joined by Christian Vogeli. He is the founder and executive director of the Swiss Foundation for Innovation. This organization operates the Emergency Response Albania program, where Dr. Déry is serving right now. Welcome, Christian.
Hang on a second. They did. Oh, are we unmuted? We're unmuted. Go ahead. Start again.
It's okay?
Yeah, you started. Okay.
Okay, great. I'm happy to be here together with Dr. MarkAlain Déry. And as a founder of Swiss Foundation for Innovation, it's a great honor to be here. We started many years ago in Albania supporting the emergency medicine program of the country and established the very first emergency service according to international standards in the country. And out of this, today we have a training center in emergency medicine in Albania and then state-of-the-art service, emergency medical service there. As the situation in Ukraine became worse, and in this crisis we decided that with the people we trained in the country in Albania, we want to go to Ukraine and serve here the people who are in need of such help. So we started with medical evacuations of especially children from the war zone into a safer zone or even out of the country in difficult disease or difficult situations. So since March, beginning of March, we are serving now in Ukraine, doing medical evacuations, giving medical support to hospitals and helping where we can. During that, when we saw it's a successful program, but we need specialists, I contacted Dr. Déry for help with our medical transport and trainings and everything here in the country, in Ukraine. And I'm very, very happy that Dr. Déry responded and came over to us. We made him the medical director of this program, and I'm very happy that you are serving and contributing in this very difficult situation here in Ukraine. And it's a great pleasure to work with you. And when we met first, I understood very soon that Dr. Déry is like a brother from another mother. We understand each other very, very well. And it's great to, in this difficult situation, to stay together with people we know, we can trust each other, and we can really be here together to serve people in need. I'm so happy also that Dr. Déry will receive the award Partner for Justice. And I know very well that Dr. Déry is a well-deserved award for him. And my sincere congratulations, and yes, thank you, and also congratulations for your program.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate that, and I have some prepared remarks as well. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate those kind words. Y'all, isn't Christian amazing? The work that he has done is a true inspiration, and I feel incredibly honored to be here in Ukraine supporting the work of the Swiss Foundation for Innovation. Our work here is a threefold process, and I'll discuss the first two elements now, then review the last one in a few minutes so as to be able to provide some context. As we continue to provide critical care services to civilians critically injured during the conflict, we transport them to safety in nearby countries like Romania. This is the first and primary aspect of our work in Ukraine, transporting the critically injured to safety, both medically and environmentally. It is Christian's vision that made this possible. So I want to say, Shakwe brother. And that is, thank you, Ukraine, right? Now, a second part of the program that we'll be working on is to develop a program to teach physicians basic trauma and wartime medicine. The idea here is to teach the teachers. The doctors that we train will be able to manage head injuries, burns, fractures, and wounds. They then will be charged to teach others the same thing, and so on and so on. This way that the work that we do will have a lasting influence on the people of Ukraine. And at this point, when there's such a great power differential, we need to recognize that it's power to the people, because people power is all that we have left. It is becoming increasingly clear that this conflict will likely continue for some time. And thus at ERA, we've been asked to initiate some of these courses, and we'll be starting them this week. Now, before continuing with the last and third element of our work here in Ukraine, I want to make a few general comments. First off, I would like to acknowledge Avodah and its mission of developing lifelong social justice leaders whose work is informed by Jewish values. Avodah inspires the Jewish community to work toward a more just and equitable world by recognizing the power of Jewish celebration and community. So with us are the great class of 2021 and 2022 Avodah New Orleans core members. And I want to acknowledge them individually. So I want to acknowledge Jess, James, Mia, Chloe, Ellie, Morgan, Rosa, Katie, Levi, and Sarah. Can you please give them all a well-deserved round of applause? I can't hear if the applause are happening, but I'm assuming so. Today, this event is being co-chaired by Gail Shawley and Jackie Stern with an incredible team, including Dr. Mark Bihar. They all work together to make today's event extraordinary, and please also give them a round of applause. Today, along with Ms. Simone Levine and Mr. Arnie Falco, we are being honored as the Avodah 2022 Partners in Justice. The Partner in Justice Award honors individuals who emulate Avodah's vision of a community in which we all devote ourselves to building a more just world. Just a few words on the other honorees. Ms. Simone Levine has done just that. She's devoted herself to building a more just world over an impressive career of being a relentless advocate for transparency and accountability as a criminal justice reformer. A recent profile in the prestigious magazine, The Nation, mentions Ms. Levine and how she takes a people's first ethic as a criminal justice champion. And with her today is Sheriff Susan Hudson. Congratulations, Sheriff, on your new role. And please know that your vision for change is our collective vision for change, and we are all rooting for your success. With a career dedicated to devoting himself to public service, it's a pleasure to share this honor also with Mr. Arnie Falco. I first came to New Orleans a few weeks before Hurricane Katrina to train at Tulane as an infectious disease specialist. And a year later, in a post-grad, Mr. Falco became a city council member. And I took great pride that a fellow Jewish brother was on the New Orleans City Council. I had greater pride when the NBA tapped Mr. Falco, and again when he returned to New Orleans as president of the Jewish Federation for Greater New Orleans. It's well known that Mr. Falco has two daughters from Ukraine and was recently in the area to reunite his daughters with their older siblings. He has written a very thoughtful opinion piece in The Advocate that was published last week, helping to explain the geopolitical situation in Ukraine. So please search for it. It's a must read. And Mr. Falco, if there's anything I can do to help support your family while I'm here, please do not hesitate to reach out. With Mr. Falco is Congressman Troy Carter, and thank you, Representative Carter, for your unwavering support of Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the folks that are sitting at our table, the folks at WHIV. I'd like to acknowledge Kelly Burke, who's been the final WHIV, all my friends, Doc Griggs that are there today. I appreciate your support. Kevin and Ginny, thank you very much. A few thank yous are in order. I cannot be speaking without thanking my father, who raised me in the Jewish tradition of service and community. My father's wisdom comes from his fathers before him and his fathers before him, particularly the great Rabbi Mordechai Déry from Rabat in Casablanca, Morocco. My father named me after my great-grandfather, Rabbi Mordechai Déry. I hope that I have wielded the wisdom passed on by generations in a manner that will make my family, the Dérys, proud. My stepmother, Marina Déry, is here, and I want to thank you for decades of unconditional love. I'd like to thank my in-laws for their constant and unwavering support of my work. We recently visited Turkey and Israel. In fact, my in-laws are still there now. We had this amazing time, the four of us there, as we all independently touched base with our Jewish heritage and the pride that being Jewish is all about. And finally, I would not be here without the incredible support of my wife, Leon Elliott. My wife is my rock, my support system, and the person who gives me the most in my life. Marital harmony is known as Shalom Bayis, and it is valued in Jewish tradition. And the Talmud states that a man should love his wife as much as he loves himself and honor her more than he honors himself. I have fair amounts of self-love, which means that I love my wife in a manner that I have never known love before. I love you, Liana. Thank you for supporting my work when I went to Sierra Leone to fight Ebola, when I've traveled the globe to teach trauma medicines to doctors in the most remote regions on earth, and now in an active conflict zone. Your trust in me and your love for me is palpable, even as I speak these words here in Ukraine. Now, at the beginning of this talk, I talked about the 3 pillars of our work here in Ukraine: transport, trauma medicine, and now starting this week, Christian and I will be initiating a viability study to determine what will be needed to take this program that Christian has started so far and make it sustainable so that it will last here in Ukraine. So we'll be driving around the country to make needs assessments. We'll focus on areas of Ukraine that conflict has already affected so that we can get the most crucial information that would lead to the program's success and ultimately the success of Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. I am sure that you've seen the wreckage of this country, both structurally and socially, but not spiritually. The Ukrainian people are strong, resilient people, and we are committed to their success and their prosperity. Power to the people. When I was in Israel recently, I went to Yad Vashem, Israel's official memorial to the victims of the Holocaust. And what inspired me the most of the memorial was the acknowledgement of the righteous amongst the nations. And these are the people or entities that risked their lives to protect the Jewish people from the viciousness of the Holocaust. Now, as a Jew here in Ukraine, I see myself as doing my part because the righteousness among the nations, for me, is the guiding light. It's my spiritual light. It's my mindset here in Ukraine. And as my guiding light, and as a proud Jewish man, we as Jews do what is the right thing to do. We do what is moral and to serve those that are in need. And we do it with the greatest amount of dignity and grace. I said it earlier and I will say it again. Power to the people, because people power is all we have left. Thank you, Christian. We just stepped on. Come back. Thank you, Christian, for allowing me to be here. Thank you to Avodah for this incredible honor. And thank you to my brilliant and beautiful wife. Your love and trust in me is what guides my work day to day that I'm here in Ukraine. Thank you so very much.
Very powerful. And I'm happy that the leadership of Avodah has such great wisdom that we chose someone like Dr. MarkAlain Déry, not even knowing that he would be in Ukraine during this time. I also need to introduce myself. My husband said I didn't do that. I'm Jackie Stern, and I've been involved, as I've told you before, for many years, and I have been chair of the leader of the advisory council for a number of years, and can't get away. I'm still going strong, so I do love this organization. I would like now to introduce the newly elected Susan Hudson, the new sheriff of Orleans Parish. I also am very happy personally to have her. I have taught in the Orleans Parish prison before, and that was under a different sheriff, and I am very relieved to have a new sheriff that I can hopefully teach
from or under. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here today, and I want to thank you for the love you've shown me. I have not forgotten that I'm here to do your work, and we're going to do that every day that I'm in this office. But we're here to celebrate my friend Simone today. And when I got my instructions for today's luncheon, they said, you got to keep it to under 2 minutes. I said, I can't in 2 minutes talk about all that Simone has done, from whether she was in New York at the legislature, putting legislation together to hold police accountable, to whether she was a public integrity prosecutor holding powerful public officials accountable there, or whether she was my deputy for years, holding the NOPD accountable for the most serious uses of force, which had been a problem here. And in fact, she led to, Simone made sure that officers were held criminally accountable here in New Orleans before that happened anywhere else in the country. And Simone did that for me. I said, I can't do that in 2 minutes. I said, I can't talk about Court Watch NOLA, which went from a good local organization to a national powerhouse, holding the sheriff, the district attorney, the public defender, and those powerful judges on the criminal court bench accountable. Don't have time to do that. And then I said, I'm the sheriff. If I want to take more than 2 minutes to talk about my I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna start that just yet in week 2. Give me 17 years before I start doing that. I couldn't resist. But instead of talking about that, I said I'm gonna talk to you about how I first got to meet Simone. And I want to take you back to April of 2011. I was a new independent police monitor in New Orleans. I had been drinking through a fire hose. There were 2 people in my office to look at 1,600 officers who were dealing with the aftermath of Katrina, which included the Danziger Bridge incident, Henry Glover, and a host of other incidents. And I'm scared to death one of those things is going to happen on my watch, and the cover up and all those things that went down will happen. So I needed a partner to make sure it didn't happen. So I put out for resumes and I got into really stellar people. And I had narrowed it down to one lawyer who I thought was going to do a great job. And at the last second, a resume comes in and it's Simone's. But before I could call her or talk to her or anything, I start getting all these phone calls. Somebody in this room who shall remain nameless, will started a campaign to have people call me about Simone and that my need to hire her. After what seemed like the 1,000th phone call, I knew one thing: I was not going to hire Simone Levine. I was so aggravated, and when they say they had worked my last nerve, I was like, there's no way, I'm not gonna do this. But I knew from looking at her resume how stellar she was, and I didn't cut off my own nose to spite my face. I called and interviewed her, and as they say, the rest is history. She came in and just did a stellar job. So I'm so honored to be here today to introduce this partner in justice, my friend, an amazing lawyer, an even more amazing mother to my godsons, Ilan and Ezra, and who I hope to be the next criminal district court judge, Simone Levine. Yeah.
What an honor. What an honor to be introduced by our new sheriff and my closest of friends here in New Orleans. What an honor to be in the company with fellow honorees Arnie Fielkow and MarkAlain. I can't say enough about the incredible work that Arnie Falco has done here in this Jewish community to make us stronger and to really create bonds between the African-American community here in New Orleans and the Jewish community, which is absolutely fundamental to our core as a Jewish community to do so. cannot tell you how proud I am to be friends with MarkAlain and how humbled I am to go and speak to you after somebody that is doing such incredible work in coming to us from Ukraine to speak after him. I wanted to thank a few individuals. First, I wanted to thank Vote for buying a table. And supporting my work when oftentimes people would not support my work because my work is challenging at times. I want to thank the Workers Center for Racial Justice for also buying a table. Thank you so much, Ursula Price. And I wanted to thank my mentors, Miriam Walter. Yeah. First female judge in New Orleans, and Judge Calvin Johnson. My mentor, who is the first African-American judge here in New Orleans. Tobias Goldman, the father of my children, William Harrow. My sister, Daniela Levine Cava, the first female and also the first Jewish mayor of Miami. My close friend and my colleague, Susan Hudson. And I am so honored to be amongst all of you who weigh so heavy and in great importance for me as my community. I want to mention Council Member Leslie Harris, who is with us. And of course, our newest Senator, Troy Carter. And of course, I wanted to thank Avodah. I wanted to thank Avodah for the inspiration that it provides and always allowing for new inspiration in the form of Avodahniks that show a frustration with oppression and inhumanity, and slowly and persistently chip away at that inhumanity. And for this service, we must all celebrate. I want to dedicate my speech to Deborah Cotton. Many of you may know Deborah Cotton. I gave Deborah Cotton this award 5 years ago here at Avodah. Deborah Cotton was a huge trailblazer, and it was someone who connected Arnie Fielkow and I together. Deb Cotton's courage live in all of us eternally. So we're all friends, right? Just a smaller community. I want to tell a secret to us here in the room as friends. I believe in system change. In fact, I believe we have to absolutely and fundamentally change the system that we are in. I think that we have to make things fairer. I think we have to make things less racist and change the system so intensely that we do not hear of the grievous pain and danger that people face, either in the violence of our New Orleans streets or in the courtrooms at Tulane and Broad. System change sometimes takes a long time, and sometimes it's hard to see. But one of the indicators of system change is to see people like me integrating our systems. I believe these systems we set up, whether it is the judges we elect, the prosecutors' offices that we hold, or the whole criminal justice system itself, they are our systems. We own them, and we have to act like we own them. And one of the ways that we can show that we own them is by being a part of them. Some of you may know me from Court Watch NOLA and the successful campaign we launched against our previous district attorney, Leon Canizaro's practice of jailing rape crime victims and domestic violence victims when they fail to appear in court and testify against their aggressors. In this campaign, we approached Leon Canizaro and we asked him to change the practice of his. He refused, saying that the practice was legal. Later in the lens, we exposed the fraudulent subpoenas, bringing reluctant witnesses and victims into the DA's office to cooperate on prosecutions. And the lawsuit we organized went all the way up to the Court of Appeals. And the Court of Appeals found that a prosecutor was not immune from liability when he or she commits such fraudulent acts. And it took several years for the office to stop jailing rape and domestic violence victims. It was not easy at times. And frankly, it was a little scary. But when Leon Canizaro used anti-Semitic dog whistles against me in the press, it was this community that stood up. The Anti-Defamation League stood up. The National Council of Jewish Women stood up. And the New Orleans Advocate stood up. And when I was told that I was naive and that I was being manipulated by others, because how could a woman lead a movement to create system change? It was understood only too late that it was he who underestimated a woman, underestimated a movement to create system change, and he misunderstood his community who had been educated on the changes that the system had to be made. Yeah. And when we blew a whistle on a criminal court judge for requiring defendants to wear an ankle monitor that could only be provided by his campaign donor, and incarcerated defendants when they could not pay the hefty daily fee that this judge's campaign donor required for an ankle monitor, the judge wisely stepped down from running for re-election. And when we blew the whistle on the sheriff for recording attorney-client phone calls, our campaign went all the way to the election booth. And look at the system change that we did. And we are getting there. Perhaps not as fast as many want, but when I was trained in the DA's office, and now I do work with Jason Williams, and I do want to acknowledge the first assistant, Ned McGowan, who is here as well. When I was trained in the DA's office, I was trained to look at the evidence I got on a case and to move to suppress the evidence if it was obtained in violation of a defendant's constitutional rights. And when I have a case that is without merit, I get approval from the chief of trials to dismiss the case. In New Orleans, we will no longer keep a man in jail on false charges. And this is unprecedented in our DA's office, and we should be proud. But we still have a long distance to travel. We need judges that will fairly judge whether people should go to jail or should be released from jail based on the merits of the case and not whether the individual has a private defense attorney who has provided that judge a campaign contribution. Judges that determine somebody's release based on the real risk that they pose to the community and not whether they are friendly with the individual attorney that has walked into their court. We still have a long distance to travel. I have far too many rape and murder cases stacked on my desk every night when I leave office. I have prayed with far too many Black women on my knees over their lost sons and daughters due to the violence that we have in our streets of New Orleans. And for a Jew to sit down on her knees and pray with so many women and so many fathers and so many mothers, this is enormous. I do it all the time. I've cried with victims' families, and I have worked continuously to make sure that we do the right thing. These victims, they are gone forever, victims to the senseless violence of our streets. And for this reason, myself and a few individuals in this room, Rose Preston, Ariel Jean-Jacques, please stand up. We are trying to get our city, state, and federal representatives to help fund an expansion of University Hospital's Trauma Recovery Center, where crime victims and their families are able to get psychiatric and therapeutic services to help soften the extreme pain of being a crime survivor in this family. A trauma recovery center independent from government that will help crime survivors obtain the financial resources that they need, the housing resources to get back on their feet so that they themselves don't become defendants. They themselves don't get arrested for alcohol problems, substance abuse problems, and taking the law in their hands in retaliation. I was given permission to say that this is an endeavor that Troy Carter, our newest senator, absolutely supports, and I am very excited to work with you in the future. We have a long distance to travel, but we must also stand up and be proud of the achievements we have accomplished with groups like Avodah that lead our way in what sometimes feels like a world without light. Thank you so much for this greatest of honors. I could not do it without you, my community, here in this room.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Simone. Hi, everybody. I am Cheryl Cook, and I am the national CEO of Avodah. I don't live in New Orleans, but every time I visit, I wish I did. It's really such an extraordinary town. And I'm so happy to be back here again. Congratulations to Arnie, to MarkAlain, to Simone, really extraordinary. Many of you know that Avodah came to New Orleans many years ago, soon after Hurricane Katrina. Our visionary founder, Rabbi David Rosen, saw an opportunity for Avodah here, not just to come short term to help to be part of the hurricane recovery, but to actually come and stay and be part of the local fabric of the community. And I'm so proud that 14 years later, here we are, and we're here and we're strong and we're not going anywhere. So what's Avodah and what do we do? Avodah trains up emerging and current Jewish justice leaders to work on poverty and social justice in this country. We have close to 1,500 alumni and growing through our immersive programs. In our Service Corps program, the program that runs in New Orleans, places young Jewish adults ages 21 to 26 in not-for-profits that you've heard about already that work on the front lines of poverty and social justice, criminal justice, healthcare, immigration, so much more. And our core members also live together communally in a bayit, communal house, and learn together about social justice, about New Orleans, about what Jewish tradition has to say about justice. So you're going to hear in a couple minutes from a core member herself, but I wanted to say their work is really hard. It is getting close to some of the most vulnerable people in our society. And as human rights attorney Brian Stevenson, who I quote all the time, those of you who have heard me have heard, says, human beings have the capacity when we get close of finding our way to justice. When we get close, we hear things that can't be heard from afar. We see things that can't be seen. And sometimes that makes the difference between acting justly and acting unjustly. And I'm so proud of the work our core members do who are working for justice. We know that our Avodah alumni make a commitment with their lives, that 85% of the people who come through Avodah stay in justice work for their lives. I'm so proud of that number. I want to say one thing about the extraordinary cohort of Avodah core members who are here right now in this year's cohort. This cohort's program was supposed to start on Sunday, August 29th, 2021. The 16th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina made landfall. And 2 days before, we reached out to the core members and asked them to delay their arrival because a new hurricane was forming, Hurricane Ida. And as all of you know well, Hurricane Ida indeed hit New Orleans, knocking out the power grid, and a huge number of people left the city or were left without power, without phone access, without much at all. We started our service corps in the rest of the country on that Sunday, and we weren't sure what would happen in New Orleans. We couldn't reach many of our placements. People were scattered, people didn't have phones. We reached out to our core members and said, look, if you want to start somewhere else, we have a space for you. We don't know what will happen in New Orleans. We just don't know. And to the person, they all said, if our placements want us, we want to wait and come to New Orleans. They waited, we waited, and a month later, they moved in. They started the program a month later, but they waited because they were committed to New Orleans. And I am so proud of them and their commitment and their continued commitment. I want to take a moment to recognize two people who don't get to come up here today, but are essential to the growth of Avodah New Orleans. So first, where is Lynne Wasserman? Lynne, all the way over there. Lynne Wasserman is my partner in crime. She is our National Avodah Board Chair. She is a local New Orleans person. She's walking around, right, cleaning up this room or setting up a board. She is my national chair. When she accepted the chair position in 2019, she had no idea that she would be leading the organization through a pandemic. We spent a lot of time on Zoom. We've barely seen each other in person, just a few times. But Lynne, you've been a steadfast partner, supportive, visionary, patient when I'm impatient, and funny just when I need it. So Lynne and Mike have opened their homes to me so many times, and they've brought the same warmth and hospitality and Lynne has to our entire board. Lynne has met with the core members all over the country. They ask about her. I was just in DC. They said, how's Lynne? They know her. I could not have weathered all that has gone on at Avodah without your partnership. So let's all raise our glass to Lynne. Thank you. And second, I want to recognize a past Avodah team member, Donnie Levine, who recently left Avodah. Donnie was at Avodah for 10 years, a decade. First as the New Orleans Avodah program director, and then the national director of all of our programs. Donnie had a huge impact on our New Orleans program, but also on all our programs nationwide. Little did I know when I asked Donnie to step into the national director position that she has a background in health policy, which came in handy when COVID hit and we were running an in-person program. Donnie stepped up immediately, and I have to say, for a long time, Avodah had data and protocols that were better than what existed in the entire country. It was extraordinary. Donnie, I'm so happy you can finally attend this event as a guest, and I'm so grateful for all you've been involved with, and thank you so much. I know you're going to continue to be involved. I want to recognize the Avodah Advisory Council. This is an incredible team. They've served as the host committee for this event, especially Jackie and Gail, who have co-chaired this event. Thank you so much. And I want to recognize our incredible Avodah staff, Shosh Maddock, who oversees the program in New Orleans. and Tessa Ceballos, who planned the whole event today, but does not live here and planned the whole event today. Thank you, Tessa, wherever you are. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who are here today. We couldn't do this work without you. I am so delighted that you came in, that you're here. I know some of you are here because you've been here year after year. Thank you. And some of you are guests today, and I would just say to all of you, I hope you're inspired by what you're hearing. I hope that you will be inspired to continue to be involved. There are blue cards on your table. If you feel so inspired, make a gift. It only helps. It helps us do this work. Thank you. I am so grateful to all of you. And it's now my honor to welcome Congressman Troy Carter to the stage to present our third Partners in Justice honoree. Congressman Carter has been a staunch advocate for criminal justice reform, women's health care, and civil rights and equality on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community. Welcome, Congressman Carter.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for the incredible work that you do. Criminal justice, environmental justice, human justice, social justice, racial justice are all areas that we must all stand firm and unite to make sure that we stamp out the evil of those who would try to take away those incredible rights that are so important to us. I'm so honored to be here, and I know my primary task is to honor my dear friend and to introduce someone that doesn't need any introduction, but I would be remiss if I did not stop to say thank you to Ms. Levine for promoting me to U.S. Senator. Now, I appreciate it. Now, Sheriff, I think I can take more than 3 minutes too. But thank you all, and what a great group of people that are being honored today. To Dr. Déry, who is in Ukraine right now, doing an incredible job, risking his life to be there to fight for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Give both Simone and Dr. Ray a big round of applause. I get to do a lot of cool things as a member of Congress, some not so cool, but by far, this is one of the coolest. An opportunity to present and be a part of honoring someone that has meant so much to this community. Someone who really laid it all on the line. Someone who came to this community as an executive with the New Orleans Saints. Someone who stood up for this community when we were most vulnerable and put it on the line. You know, it's easy to risk when there is no risk. It's easy to accept a challenge when there is no challenge. It's easy to say what you're going to do, but do something quite different when you're faced with those convictions. But my dear friend, Arnie Falco, stood up. He believed. He put his money where his mouth is, and he fought for our community then and now. Give him a big round of applause. I was so honored when Arnie called me and asked if I would present this coveted award to him. Honored because he is truly a living legend, truly a man of his word, truly a man of honor. And to give me such an honor was humbling. And I thank you, my friend. And I thank you for all that you do for the people of Louisiana, for New Orleans, our country, and our world. Because your fingerprints, your footprint, your heartbeat is felt throughout our community for the incredible work that you do. I have the distinction of being able to introduce someone that doesn't need an introduction, but I will not rob him of some of these points that I want to say for the record. And we have an opportunity to speak on the House floor and present what is a congressional insert, a congressional record, where we speak about people who have done incredible work in our community, who have done meritorious things that the world should always know about. Today, tomorrow, forever. So I am pleased to present this congressional record, which will forever live in the Library of Congress, where forevermore generations will be able to go. Among all the other places you can read about Arnie Falco, in the Library of Congress, this resolution will live forever. Mr. Carter, Louisiana is recognized. Madam Speaker, thank you. I rise today to celebrate one of my friends and constituents, Mr. Arnie Falco, on the occasion of his recognition as a 2022 Avodah Award recipient, one of the highest awards granted for social justice leaders in the Jewish community of New Orleans. Arnie Falco, along with his wife, Dr. Susan Falco, and their three boys, Justin, Michael, and Stephen, moved to New Orleans in 2000 from Wisconsin when Mr. Falco took the position as Executive Vice President of New Orleans Saints Organization. 15 years ago, after working their way through the international adoption process, and after Hurricane Katrina washed away their original documents, the family adopted half-sisters Yana, Shara, 9, and sibling Titlana, 6, from the Ukraine. To this very day, Arnie and his family are watching the turmoil as it unfolds in Ukraine, hopeful to find safe passage for the sisters and their children of the adopted daughters. A leader with a knack for business and expert coalition building, Mr. Falco with NFL's New Orleans Saints 20 to 25. In this role, he served as a top senior management official, presiding over all administrative and business departments for the organization, including community relations and youth programs. Falco was instrumental in enhancing the team's influence internationally, nationally, and locally. Throughout Louisiana, he was the key negotiator, achieving a landmark 10-year agreement for the Saints facility here in our state, putting his entire career at risk on such a deal. Falco also oversaw tremendous growth in the Saints youth programming, highlighted by the organization's involvement in the NFL's Junior Player Development Program and the administration's summer youth clinics throughout Greater New Orleans. Teaming with the NFL and the Orleans Parish School Board, the Saints were instrumental in returning tackle football to the city's public middle schools. Arnie left the Saints organization for public service, being elected to the position of council member at large for the city of New Orleans. As a city council member, he helped rebuild New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina, introducing legislation to improve education, economic development, public safety, and youth recreation across the storm-ravaged city. Falco played a major role in ensuring recreation and athletics remained a significant focus on the allowing youth, the city of New Orleans, extracurricular activities. Upon stepping down from the New Orleans City Council in his second term, he served as president and CEO of the National Basketball Retired Players Association, the official association for all former NBA, ABA, WNBA, and Harlem Globetrotter players. Under his tenure, the association achieved an all-time high in membership, built strong partnerships with other organizations, and developed a full menu of members, programs, and new youth-based national community service initiatives. This new community mission directly led to the creation of the NBRPA's Touring Youth Basketball Program and Life Skills Program, which served thousands of at-risk youth in partnership with the National Police Athletic League, Activities League, and National Urban League. I am convinced Arnie never sleeps, and he develops new ways to assist those in need. His latest innovative program was jointly created by the Arnie D. Falco family and Edgar Dookie Chase Jr. and Leah Chase Family Foundation. Both names are well known among New Orleanians, and the collaboration combined the primary passion of each family and is seen through their years of philanthropic service. This program is a definitive nod to Arnie's nearly 30 years of professional career in sports, Judaism, and fostering relationships among the diverse subsets of diverse communities. The Falco Chase Youth Foundation Education Initiative is designed to build impactful relationships between the multicultural and multi-faith communities in the greater New Orleans area. Through practical learning and career skills, building these programs and services in high school students interested in pursuing professions within the sports industry, while at the same time allowing participating teens to learn about one another's history, tradition, and culture. This exciting initiative launched in October of 21. Rooted in community and public service, Mr. Falco's current work as CEO of the Jewish Federation of New Orleans and his latest step in a lifelong pattern of bringing people together and doing what's best for the people. Throughout his stellar career, Mr. Falco has succeeded in combining his commitment in public service with his love for sports and always sought to improve access, facilities, and programming for our children and young people. I can go on and on about his experiences, his honors, his exemplary service, and the honorees displayed, but I want to share just something about the Mr. Falco that we're working on currently together. Through the Congressional Appropriations Community Projects funding, I was able to secure $3 million for the 9th Ward Stadium project, whose sole mission is to build a high-quality, multi-use sports recreation stadium for students, schools, and families in the New Orleans 9th Ward area. Of course, who other than Mr. Arnie Falco, as the chair of the organization, is leading on-the-ground efforts to build this facility in the community that has far too long had to travel to other neighborhoods and other schools to use their sports facilities. This stadium will change the lives for the people in New Orleans for years and years to come. The 9th Ward Stadium effort is just the latest example of Mr. Falco's love for New Orleans and for sports, his action, and I'm so grateful to have played a small role in helping him make this dream a reality. Congratulations to my dear friend, to my brother, Mr. Arnie Falco, on this coveted award. To your wife, your children, and the entire New Orleans community are so very proud and grateful for the incredible work, love, and commitment and jewels that you give back to us every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Arnie Falco.
Wow. First of all, it's hard to follow my fellow award winners. Their beautiful presentations. And to be in a room tonight where I know so many of you, and I am so inspired by so many of you to see my fellow members of the Federation Board, Marvin Roberts, one of my board leaders in the National Basketball Association of Retired Players. I don't know if he's still here, but James Carter, fellow council member post-Katrina, worked so closely together on so many things. But this is special, and I hope you will allow me to take a few minutes. First of all, to Congressman Carter. Now I'm going to do one up. President Carter. Sorry, Simone. Hopefully one day, okay? Troy, you are an incredible person, an incredible leader. You have done such a phenomenal job in just such a short term in Washington. And I watched with amazement the work that you did in Baton Rouge, on the New Orleans City Council, and you've carried that same degree of excellence to Washington. And we just can't wait to continue to watch the success that you're gonna have. But even more than that, your friendship since we moved here 22 years ago is something that I so appreciate. Thank you for being my presenter. And it's really wonderful to be joined by my family, my wonderful wife, my soulmate. I have to do one up from what was said before, okay? No, this is truly the love of my life. Dr. Susan Fielkow and the work that she's done for this community in helping thousands and thousands of children in the developmental area that she does now at Children's. My son, Stephen, who I'm proud to say is a third-year medical student and will soon be a doctor, hopefully fourth year, hopefully in New Orleans. Our daughter Svetlana, who's with us here tonight, and other family members that are joining by Zoom. I love all of you, and it's wonderful to have you here. Also, thank you to all my dear friends in the room and at my table, Marvin, David, Shani, Myra, Hector, everyone. It's an incredible honor to have you with us tonight. Thank you very much. And my staff is here, Joel and Kate. I can't tell you, you hear this from people that lead organizations, but it's not the leader of the organization, it's the people around you. And I truly have the best staff that anybody could ever have. So Kate and Joel, thank you for being here. Like others, I want to congratulate Simone and Dr. Déry. Your respective work in the fields of criminal justice reform and infectious disease are truly inspiring. And it's an absolute privilege to share today's award with you. Dr. Déry, I know is not here anymore, but I would want to thank him for being on the ground in Ukraine and helping the Ukrainian people. Having just returned from the region for the last few weeks, I can tell you that it's heartbreaking to see over 5 million refugees trying to be free, be safe, and forced to be in other countries. And Dr. Déry's work on the ground in Ukraine is so important to the Ukrainian people. As we have a saying, Slava Ukraini, glory to Ukraine, and please let there be peace soon in that region and in that country. I also want to congratulate Avodah New Orleans for its 14th birthday in our great city. I watched with great pride from the city council dais in 2008 when Avodah arrived and helped our city get back on its feet. And after serving 44,000 plus families since then, it's phenomenal to see Avodah still doing incredible work in the greater New Orleans area. Congratulations to our event chairs, my dear friends, Gail and Jackie. Congratulations to Lynn, the National Board Chair, for your incredible leadership, and to all of the local advisory committee members for the phenomenal work that you do in helping us realize the potential in New Orleans. Also, I want to say thank you and congratulations to past award winners, and to just be in the same room with last year's award winners, my dear friends, Anna and Juan Gershonik, Dr. Mark Beher, and Dr. Joe Cantor is truly humbling. Congratulations to all of you again. And how inspiring, please, yes. And how inspiring are our current and past Avodah Corps members who continue to do incredible work in areas of education and youth services, immigration, criminal justice, and housing. It's a testament to the organization that 50% of the former Corps members decided to make New Orleans their home. Think about that. That's pretty amazing. Your dedication is remarkable, and we look forward to having you help us make New Orleans an even better place as we go into the future. The term underlying today's event, social justice, has many meanings, but above all else, it involves fairness between individuals and society, and equal access to the many positive aspects of life that we all desire. Regrettably, we're living in a time of unprecedented political divide at all levels of government. And it's more important than ever that we all come together as partners to ensure that our democratic principles and values, indeed fairness in life, do not continue to be eroded. And I just want to go off script just for a second here and offer my condolences on what happened in Buffalo yesterday. I don't want to get political, but I want to say this. We have allowed things like yesterday to happen in our country. We have given license to people to do terrible, evil things, and it cannot continue. It must stop. It must stop with legislation. It must stop in other areas, but it needs to stop with all of us contributing as partners and being unafraid to lend our voice. When hate shows its fate, whether it's hate against African Americans, Jews, immigrants, the Asian community, the Muslim community, or anyone else, hate is hate. And we need to stand shoulder to shoulder and speak loudly against it so that yesterday's type of event do not happen again. Also, whether in Washington or Baton Rouge, it's vital that we stand together when it comes to topics like reproductive, LGBTQ, voter, gun, and refugee rights. And that every American in Louisiana wake up each and every morning, irrespective of their race, their religion, or their sexual orientation, feeling that they have an equal shot at fulfilling their lifelong dreams. The voices on the extremes of both major political parties dominate the headlines, but most of us just long for a community which is safe, provides quality and equitable education and healthcare, and gives everyone a fair chance to attain economic success so their families can be provided for. And yes, for all of us privileged to live in New Orleans, maybe it wouldn't be too much to ask that we fix the darn roads and we don't have boil advisories, okay? I know my time is short, but today's award is so very special to me because social justice has been a big part of my entire life and my career. Whether it be helping the Ukrainian and Haitian people in the aftermath of unprovoked wars and terrible earthquakes, to improving playgrounds in the lower Ninth Ward so that every New Orleans child can have equitable recreational opportunities. And Congressman, thank you. We are, with your help, we're on our way to building a $9 million facility in the upper Ninth Ward to help our kids for years and years to come. Thank you for that. To creating the new Goldring and Leventhal centers at the Jewish Federation, or to advocating for hurting Whodad fans post-Katrina to ensure that the Saints remained here in New Orleans. The Hebrew term tikkun olam, repairing the world, has always been extremely important to me. And I have to tell you that in 2005 and 6, I ran for city council post-Katrina because I could not just sit by and watch green dots on a map wiping out parts of New Orleans, largely populated by African-American residents, resulting in the destruction of the cultural soul of our historic city. And thankfully, it did not happen. Or Latino day workers being discriminated against by short-sighted leaders and wage theft, when these same workers had come to our city to help us rebuild with their own hands and should be owed a permanent debt of gratitude. Dr. Gershonik, thank you for what you did in honoring those workers. Or watching the vile corruption of some in our government and others who came to our city with the sole purpose of taking advantage of proud New Orleanians who were literally just trying to survive and get back on their feet and rebuilding their lives, their homes, and their businesses after Katrina. All of us today should be proud of the important social justice work we're doing. In my case, I have, I said, a great wife, parents and family who collectively instilled in me and still do today the importance of doing for others each and every day. I know my dad is watching with great pride from the heavens. And it's wonderful to have my mom on Zoom and Susan here in the room tonight. With all of your continued support, God willing, I look forward to having the opportunity to continue my social justice work for years to come. Thank you to Avodah for this tremendous honor. It is something I will carry with me with great pride for the rest of my life. And I look forward to watching Avodah's continued success in New Orleans and elsewhere for years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arnie. Once again, very beautiful, powerful words. Arnie, you are an inspiration to me. I think you knew that, and you have them. I would like to now introduce Ellie Moskowitz. She is a core member with Avodah right now, and she is responsible for all of the beautiful decorations and thoughtfulness that went into this event. Come on.
If we sat down a year ago and you had told me that my friend would be going to pick up clients who have been in prison for decades, driving their families 3 hours for visits, and helping men who are on death row, I would have wondered what you were thinking. If you had told me that a friend, a white Jewish woman like myself, was working at a cultural arts center, engaging in conversations around racism and revitalization through uplifting the voices of Black artists, I would have thought it not possible. If you had told me that I would be in a law office, assisting low-income individuals every day and accessing the most basic needs because our society values people based on their socioeconomic status rather than their right to live, I would have been surprised, maybe even confused. Yet this is the reality we live, because Avodah has brought together this beautiful and eclectic group of young adults, all in order to engage in this kind of work. We've been given the unique opportunity to utilize our own skills in order to come together in spaces one would not naturally expect. Without necessarily realizing it, what I now appreciate is that every step in my life has led me to being an Avodah core member. From my earliest years, it's what I first saw role modeled, what has guided and even connects me to the work we're doing right now. My love for Judaism and social justice interconnect to have created a constant passion in my life, a driving force. I vividly remember the first time the need for this kind of work became apparent in my life. My dad, along with a few of my Jewish social justice role models, were heading to Washington, D.C. for the Save Darfur rally. And in learning what was occurring there, I demanded that he take me too. Yes, I had a lot of questions, so my parents sat me down and explained the situation as best they could. And in a fit of hysterics, I begged that they let me go. Granted, I was only 6 years old at the time, and they obviously said no. But my dad promised that when he got back, we would find a way for me to get involved, to make my voice heard. So a few days later, you could find me marching around the school hallways, distributing postcards to my teachers, asking them to send in President Bush to encourage intervention in Darfur. From an early age, my Judaism has pushed me to pursue a path towards justice. That is the core of my faith. It's what we read in Torah last week in Kedoshim. We learned that it isn't prayers that make us holy or observing each and every holiday. Rather, holiness is in taking care of one another, in loving your neighbor as yourself, in creating community that is inclusive. This is the faith that has shaped who I am today, and Avodah has nurtured this even more. This is the first year that Avodah has partnered with my placement, Southeast Louisiana Legal Services. Before this, my role within the organization did not exist. Since starting at SLLS this fall, I have worked with over 600 different clients. My interactions vary greatly depending on the needs of each individual, usually consisting of completing an intake so that they can receive our services, or if they have an issue our organization does not handle, I work to help find resources elsewhere in the city that can be of assistance. However, there is no doubt that the role which has impacted me most is in simply being a listening ear, sometimes hearing stories of people's lives on their most challenging day. It can be heartbreaking, yet in helping them realize that there are the people in this world that do genuinely care, I see what a difference it can make. I'm reminded how important this work really is. And here is one of the coolest realities of being an Avodah. While we each get to do remarkable work at our individual placements, the impact that is made through our connections to one another, through our partnership, is all the more special. About 2 months ago, I had an applicant call who had recently been released from prison and needed assistance with his benefits. However, he was released without a photo ID. Recognizing that he was numerous steps behind where SLS could even begin to assist, I called my housemate Chloe, who works with the First 72 Plus, knowing that they offered services that could be helpful to this client. Not only were they able to get him an ID, but he is now a weekly participant at the First 72's reentry class. This was an individual who thought that he was not eligible for their services and would not have received the help he needed had Chloe and I not partnered together to make a plan of action. While relatively small, this is just one of the many examples of the impact we have been able to make within our time in Avodah. The reality is that Avodah provides so much more than just a year of service for us. It is a unique opportunity to interact with communities that we would often not have these connections with. Without your support and generosity, this work would never be possible. I know this year has made a difference in my life. I'm inspired by the work that my peers do daily. We ask you today to help us set our paths for the future by making Avodah even stronger. Some think it is difficult to ask for a donation, to ask others to give. But I have learned that when you believe in something this strongly and are passionate about the work you're doing, it is not difficult at all. It actually makes sense. What we hope is that you all care as much as we do. So here's what I'm asking. Fill out those blue pledge cards on your table and make your gift to Avodah so that our core members can continue to make a difference in this city. There will be baskets on your way out to drop them in. We know that many of you have already made generous donations, and for that, we are so grateful to you. But if you feel moved to make a gift this morning, not only will it mean the world to us, think about the impact it will have on the communities that we are in. Now, if you ask me what I will be doing a year from now, or even 10 years from now, not only is there a good chance I will still be in New Orleans, but no matter where I end up, I can say with confidence that whatever it may be, it will have been greatly influenced because of my time in Avodah. Thank you.